To ensure timely delivery of the presidential initiatives, the GMD had to set up a Project Monitoring Office (PMO). This is another innovation that ensures projects are completed on schedule. The various technical and commercial bid opening exercises are all efforts geared towards cost controls and optimization of its operations. Similarly, the GMD also directed all business leaders to ensure prioritization of all capital expenditure based on health, safety, environment, and quality high standards.
The MPDC, the IDSL, and even the NAPINS with its partners are going aggressively to achieve that 10 of a barrel, and it's doable.
Making revenue-generating strategic business units more viable and lean cost centers have also helped in improving the bottom line of the NNPC business. Revenue-generating centers are tasked to generate more revenues at lower cost, and all projects are brought under very close scrutiny to ensure cost optimization. In order to block leakages and ensure strict control over foreign exchange transactions, all foreign exchange payments are now subject to the approval of the GMD. Similarly, digitalization of payments of invoices was initiated to control cost and minimize human interference in procurements to payments. Perhaps one of the biggest demonstrations of Malam Kyari's management acumen and cost control initiatives was the successful renegotiation of the Ajaokuta-Kaduna-Kano AKK gas pipeline project from $2.8 billion to $2.5 billion through best practice project delivery strategy, thereby saving the nation a whopping sum of $300 million. Speaking on how the AKK project would impact the economy, the Chief Operating Officer, Gas and Power, Engineer Yusuf Usman, has this to say.
We have about 6 to 7 power projects that can deliver about 5 to 6,000 megawatts of power. These power plants are the Abuja-Kaduna-Kano power plant with combined capacity of 3,600 megawatts. We have the QIPP power plant. We have the SIPCO power plant. We have the Opai power plant phase 2 expansion.
Reducing contracting cycles to 6 months is also a top priority of the GMD. To this end, he has approved some key members of staff to drive the Ministerial Committee on Cost Reduction and Contracting Cycles. Apart from positioning the NNPC on the path of profitability, it also places the corporation on a very high pedestal to make it an independent and a standalone company as encapsulated in the Petroleum Industry Bill, PIB. Also, it raises staff awareness on prudent management of resources and commercialization, as well as a lean corporate headquarters and more viable revenue-generating SBUs.
There was a lot of commitment on the part of management. So all of this put together, including the very experienced team we had and the focus we had, were able to come to a settlement that at the end of the day really saved the corporation a lot of money.
The introduction of Operation White and the automation of operations in the downstream sector of the corporation's operations has also gone a long way in optimizing and controlling cost in the NNPC.
It has brought a lot of efficiencies. So, for example, the first one I can reckon with is the speed with which you will now be able to go online and just procure your products.
Some stakeholders speak on how the automation of the operations have enabled them to interface with the NNPC seamlessly.
It reduced the issue of carrying money, and it reduced the risk of giving much out of your money.
In the introduction of the online, everything was going smoothly. If you made payment in the morning, before afternoon, you have gotten your product. Before 2 o'clock, the product will arrive at your station.
The experience it was very great since NNPC introduced the online payments, because within the few minutes, 1 to 2 minutes, you can make your transaction online.
If there is one thing transparency does to any organization, apart from showcasing its honesty and integrity, it helps to boost performance. It also helps to put its business leaders on their toes to do their best, knowing there is no room to hide or cover up inefficiencies. This appears to be the story of NNPC, whose commitment to transparency is beginning to yield positive results in the form of huge reduction in losses from 803 billion naira in 2018 to 1.7 billion naira in 2019. By every business analysis, the 99.7% reduction in NNPC loss profile in the just released 2019 audited financial statement is a pointer to the fact that the optimization of NNPC operations and cost control measures are working and would ultimately impact the economy of the nation in no distant time.
Welcome to yet another interesting segment of the program. I am Faith Ayuba. Public bid opening exercises for contracts is one of the many ways that the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation, NNPC, has adopted for the selection of technically and commercially qualified bidders for most of her contracts. On this edition, the roving camera brings to you how some stakeholders perceive this strategy by the NNPC.
It promotes accountability and transparency. So for now, it's not by who you know. I know somebody in NNPC, I know a big man. It depends on your capacity. And as a company, your company profile, what you've done in the past and everything.
So I think one of the significance of this bidding is trust. It creates trust, creates confidence, and also create belief.
I'm seeing a brighter future from NNPC because what I've been hearing about what they are doing now, they are more transparent to us. They are open to Nigerians.
It promotes transparency and accountability. It reduces corruption, and you get the best technical bidders. And it also gives the stakeholders on this a sense of belonging.
It will help curb corruption. It's transparent, you're watching it, you're monitoring it. You know where the process is not being hijacked by those on top.
From the views of Nigerians, it is clear that the strategy provides a level playing field for all bidders, and it has further entrenched the transparency, accountability, and performance excellence culture in the corporation. That's about the size of this segment. We now shift gear to Did You Know segment.
Hello, and thank you for joining us again on this educative segment of the program. My name is Abigail Ojogbo. Did you know that in 1971, Nigeria joined the Organization of the Petroleum Exporting Countries, OPEC, as the 10th member? Did you know that the Nigerian National Oil Corporation, NNOC, was established as an organ for exercising control over the oil and gas industry, which was dominated by multinationals in 1971? The NNOC also provided a platform for governments to take up participating interest in operations of the companies based on 1965 agreement, which allowed governments to acquire interest in international oil companies, IOCs. Other acquisitions were to follow, and by 1974, the acquisition had covered all the operating companies, with a percentage of government interest increased to 60%, thus giving birth to the joint venture agreements. Did you also know that the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation, NNPC, was formed through the merger of the then NNOC and the Ministry of Mines and Steel on 1st April 1977? Now you know. Please don't go away. The program continues.
Hello and welcome to Global Crude Oil Outlook. Oil prices went into reverse, giving up the previous gains as a surge in United States crude stocks and rising coronavirus infections in the United States and Europe fanned fears of a supply glut and weaker fuel demand. Brent crude futures were down $1.60 or 3.8% at $39.60 per barrel, having climbed nearly 2%. The United States West Texas Intermediate WTI crude futures were down $1.84 or 4.6% at $37.73 per barrel after a 2.6% jump previously. United States crude oil and gasoline stocks rose last week. Data from the American Petroleum Institute showed with crude inventories rising by 4.6 million barrels to about 495.2 million barrels, well above analyst expectations of a 1.2 million barrel build. Meanwhile, the Market Intelligence Department of the NNPC's London office reports that the European energy giants have their eyes on growing markets for natural gas and renewable power in India, where they hope to push coal out of the mix. Key Mid-East oil producers Saudi Aramco and Abu Dhabi National Oil Corporation are projecting their participations in the expansion alongside state-run refiners Indian Oil, Bharat Petroleum and Hindustan Petroleum. And that's it on this segment of the program. I am Owigo Okolo.
That's been our package for Oil and Gas Forum this edition. Thanks for joining us. We hope you found some little bits of takeaways here and there, and the stories are very informative and ever so delightsome. Have yourself a good week.